gender roles. And so I want to go there and I want to talk about it. And it's not going to go in the way that I'm thinking or hope that it's not going to go in. And in fact, just the way that I'd want it to go on this channel, with just a little bit of unique perspective on an overall, like, kind of big topic, with just a little bit of nothingness sprinkled on top. Kind of like Salt Bay, you feel me? But with like nothingness instead of like salt, you feel me? And so let's talk about gender roles. Gender roles are often talked about in a negative way, and I know I didn't say it, so I'm going to go back and say it. Thank you for watching the videos. I really appreciate it. If you're not already, take a couple of seconds, hit the subscribe button, maybe a thumbs up. It helps the channel out a lot. If you're feeling super, gnar about how your day's going, either in a good or bad way, drop a comment as well. It helps engage other people, and I want to hear from y'all. So there's always that. I want to talk about gender roles. And, funny enough, I think gender roles exist, and I think they should be followed. Now, here's the kicker. They only exist, and they only should be followed in, agreement with the people that are making up that relationship. So society should not be the ultimate standard in how we define our gender roles. Moreover, society does a terrible job of doing this because there's too many variables. So, in my opinion, in any kind of a relationship, it can be hetero, it can be lesbian, gay, whatever the relationship is that the people are engaged in, obviously by consent, that's assumed here, is that circumstantially gender roles change. And, we now know too, because the economy is so bad, that it's really hard to even be in a relationship if both of y'all aren't full-time working. Especially, if you have children and stuff, right? Because, like, the world's an expensive place and inflation is awful, and the economy, does well for those that have a lot and never really good enough for those who actually need it to perform at such a level, right? Which is unfortunate in capitalist ideology. So we also, since we recognize these things and we understand them, it's important to facilitate that gender role that we provide amongst ourselves, to ourselves, with our partners, a chance to thrive. In that, if you happen to be in a unique situation where only one of you it can work, and it still can work, then maybe it's worth considering, right? In terms of, if the woman chooses to stay at home and take care of domestic stuff, or if the guy chooses to stay home and take care of domestic stuff while their partner goes out and brings home a check. I think that for myself, I think that gender roles should be followed in that regard. So there's no rule that says definitively, as a society, what each gender should have as their role. I think that's false and very presumptuous, in that its expectations are that everyone is going to be standardized in that same kind of a way, and it's not like that. Gender roles, again, are in fact more emblematic, more symbolic of what needs to get done in that area more than anything else. And so, as long as the people agree to those roles in whatever gender capacity they are, I think it's the best way. I think that to shy away from giving ourselves specific roles in relationships is detrimental, because it provides zero accountability for when things aren't going as planned. And again, I think as human beings, we all anticipate, or should rather, that things can get bad. And when they do, what happens, it's always really nice to have a system to fall back onto, in terms of, when problems come around, how do we deal with them? And I think that a way to alleviate a lot of problems is to be accountable and to create accountability for yourself. And by giving yourself a role, that's what in fact you're doing. You're taking that accountability into your reality, and you're making it so that it gets done and without question. And if it doesn't get done, then there's somebody to talk to about it, right? In terms of just like what's going on. I think gender roles are vital for the success of a relationship. And this doesn't even have to be like a physical or an intimate relationship. They could be platonic relationships. Again, what role are you playing in that relationship, and are you playing it good? It's just like being on a team and the role that you play on that team. Quite often, the role isn't, Michael Jordan-esque starting, 6'6" shooting guard, right? Like as like the ultimate leader. No, most of us fall back within rules, within other kinds of roles that we take because we, aren't that super capable of taking on that role, right? Which is something that few people do, in terms of there's only one Michael Jordan. You feel me? And there will always only be one Michael Jordan. So there's that, and I guess that sort of example. But with the roles on a team and its importance to understand those roles and to support those roles, right? To support those roles. So as a man, if a woman has the duty of cleaning and doing the domestic stuff, helping her do those things when you're in her presence. Or if it's a man doing those things and the woman's the primary breadwinner, and, she can also help sometimes in these domestic chores and stuff like that, right? So again, it works for all relationships, all genders, all sexes in that capacity, right? Gender roles, I think, are a good thing. And I think that if you don't already have one with your partner in the relationship that you're in, you should find some. And again, create accountability so that when and if something goes wrong, which obviously you don't want it to, but in the event that real world happens and it does, there's a foundation, there's a platform, there's somewhere that you can go and discuss how to be better, right? To not let that happen again. And again, it's not like the kind of thing where, if you don't have dinner on the table at 5, no, it's not things like that at all in any way, shape whatsoever. It's just the constructive criticism of both people playing roles within that relationship that are both equitable to the contribution of a meaningful and positive experience for both of y'all.